is paramount, actually, not just in the African world, but in the world itself. And that is what is going on in the country of Sudan, one of the largest countries in Africa. It was at one time the largest, I think. And so the person who is going to be in charge of letting us know the sequence is a young man that I met a few years ago, and I was quite impressed with him because of his charisma, because of his passion, because of his interest in the issue of the Sudanese people. And he had a great sense of integrity, a tremendous amount of energy about the situation that was going on in his country. And I said, wow, I need to know this brother. And I went and met him, and we had several sessions together in Richmond, and I became a convert. I am Sudanese, and you know, in the original sense. And I'm delighted, very delighted, to be able to introduce this discussion. His name is Bolga Deng, and Bolga Deng is an individual who himself, he can tell you a little bit about himself. He was once enslaved in Sudan, and he got himself out, liberated, and now he is in the U.S., and he's doing lots of work on behalf of the Sudanese people. But he is joined by an equally tremendous group of individuals who are involved. And one individual, I won't introduce them all, I'll let him do that, but Tanudaman, whose son Ramses comes with him always. And I like the fact that he has always brought Ramses along with him, because I can see the likeness of the ancient Ramses of the Nile Valley. I can see that. So we're just delighted that he's here. And of course, Dr. Abdel and Brother Martin Buba and others who are here. I'm going to not take much time. I'm just going to introduce Bolga Deng at this time and ask Bolga if he would come and if he would then say everything that needs to be said to get this project going. And then it would be wonderful. So thank you very much. Bolga Deng. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malafa Shanti. Thank you so much for this great introduction, Dr. Malafa Shanti. I think if there is any great person in this world, it's someone like you actually made a difference in my life as well. Since I met you 5 years ago, it actually changed my life. And I want to thank you so much for this great institution that you set it up, that is not only going to liberate people here in America, it's going to liberate as well the people in Africa continent that who have lost their heritage. And I want to let you know that this is the only hope that we have. It's Malafa Shanti Institute. And I believe, and I was a big believer that no one in Africa continent at all have set up something like this to the African people since the beginning of Africa continent. And that's why we are still today in a struggle. I want to thank you all for being here, audience. It's so great here, and for being a part of this and having interest in Sudan as well. It's something that actually it means a lot to us as the Sudanese. So your time is so important to us. You need to know that. You are not wasting your time, and your time is so important for us. And also, I'm here also to introduce some friends, Sudanese fellow, who are leaders with me as well. They took that time to come here to share with you what is going on in that country of the part of Africa. And also we have a great American friends who actually fought with us together. They never give up. They are with us as well. They travel a long trips. They pay the toll with us. They pay the gas together. We share because we know it's a good cause. They don't say that, no, I don't want to do this because I'm in America. They do it because they're human. And they do it for the humanity. And we need to thank them as well. So I will introduce one of us, Dr. Abdibar Adam. He's here with us. Dr. Can you stand up? Dr. Abdibar Adam is a great activist. He's the human rights activist, and Dr. Abdibar actually will explain himself when he comes down here, but I will let him know he's a great fighter for the Darfur human rights, and he's a part of the Darfur region of Sudan. I have Khalid, I will call him Tamun Amun actually. He's with us from the Nuba North. If you could stand up, Khalid, so they can see you. As he also with his son from the Sudan as well. We have a brother from Blue Nile, Martin Buba, is here with us as well. Actually, with the Sudanese, we have a different region, what actually make up to be a Sudan. So we come from different regions, represent different regions. We are here tonight to share with you what affecting us in those regions. I have also a brother, Joe Kwal from Abia area, is here with us. Joe, can you stand up? Very much is with us. We have also a young fellow, very interested a lot, a very funny guy. He's here with us. He took his time to come here. He's truly Sudanese. Actually, yeah, we were walking down today in somebody's house, and one of the American guy, and being a Caucasian, actually being a white guy, and identify someone in Africa, oh, he's from Dinka, because he looked like Dinka. It sounds very impressive. And he was identified, he's a Dinka man. And I thank you for that. And also I want to thank a great activist and human rights, live here in New York, Dr. Elson is here with us. Dr. Can you stand up? Yeah, Dr. Elson actually been spending so much his own money to pay the cost, to do a lot in Sudan, and actually delivered the medical supplies this reason to the war zone, and he did that by his own. And actually, we thank you so much as Sudanese for that generosity and that courage that you have took. And I want to thank also Andrew Iba. He's actually very much with us, come from DC. Andrew, are you there? Can you just let them see you? He's also come with us and just to support this cause and come also. They are actually people who love Malawi Ashanti more than we do actually. They're here because they love Malawi Ashanti so much. And you need to know what Malawi Ashanti really means to the world, not only in Philadelphia. So because of this matter, I'm here to let you know that my name is Bol Gaideng, and I'm from, actually very much from the Sudan, from the southern part region. I represent my South Sudanese as well, combine what Sudan really means as a continent and a country, and Sudan is the largest country in Africa. And later on, you guys can learn a lot about the history of the country, how that actually meant to the African people in the world. As the motherland of Africa, civilization started in Sudan as well, and I will not go to that detail. I will leave that to my fellow friend, our brother, my older brother, Khalid, to explain that. But I will just a little bit share with you my own lives, how actually someone like me was a slave in 21st century. But you guys think in America that, well, slavery is not exist. Actually, I was a slave. And I was a runaway slave, by the way. But thank God I'm here. Yeah, thank God I'm here. And actually, in war been going on in Sudan for a long time. So, and as you guys know, Sudan problem is the oldest conflict have been in the continent in the world, and it still exists today. And actually, very much of the war, without detail, my village was attacked in 1987 when I was actually kidnapped with almost about 700 kids with us. And the Arab military actually come and attack our village. I was a young man that in my village actually very much did not know about America would exist. I had never heard about the United States. I had never heard about China. Never heard about anything in the world. But I thought actually, we the Dinka actually would exist in the world. Because I'm a Dinka man. So I thought that my own spot that I was living in before the Arab come and invade our land, I thought that we were the only people existing in the land because we speak one dialect only. So most of us didn't have a chance to go to school, and there's not a school available in our lifetime. So we always, agriculture man. We also go and own the cows, actually, part of our lives. So the Arab military come and attack us in 1987 in the morning around 6 a.m. that actually took me to the slavery, and most of them are family. Some of them they lost and they killed my neighbors, and actually very much I lost my dad at the time as well. My mom was beating in front of me until she actually lost conscious, actually very much at the time, and she became paralyzed when actually I was taken. So I was taken to the slavery. We walked about 3 days, I could say about 500 miles from the south to the north. And it was harsh, it was very abusive, and actually the slavery that took place at the time I was a slave was actually, I think it was 20 attempts, because there were 20 attacks by the Marhalin. We call them Marhalin in our language, but they used to very much the Arabs. And actually, at that time, I was taken with these young guys, and most of us actually survived a time for more than 20 attacks. And then the last one I did not make it. I was actually kidnapped. And actually doing the journey, the experience I experienced in the journey times is that we were walking, and this Arab guy that was so abusive toward the young kids who are 7 years old and 5 years old at the times. And actually, one thing that was shocking to me was that there was a young boy that in the journey with us was not able to walk. And he was crying, looking for his mother and dad, calling his mother name and dad names. And the master took something called sif, which is a big knife actually, and actually cut his head off. And he showed and he gathered us and said, "This is the lesson for you. Anybody cry, or anybody do anything, you will be next." So, and he took the head of this young boy, another boy, and gave it to another boy to carry it on in the journey with us. The journey was so painful with us, and most kids, they were so shocked. And this young boy was carrying the end of the young boy for more than 3 days in the journeys. And the young boy was saying that, why should I carry the head of my fellow friends? And he said that these fellow friends, and he said something in Dinka that we, in our culture, when somebody dies, it should be buried. Why do I need to carry the head of my fellow friends? And he said that it's you to be disciplined, to know that if you drop this head, you will be the next. The young man have carrying this for almost 3 days. We were shocked in the journey. And actually, at the time, we went to the destination, and this thing actually was smelling so bad to the point where this young man doesn't know what to do. And actually, when we got there, we were separated. Everybody had his own way to go. We divided to the masters. I was with another master, another person, and we didn't see each other. These young men disappeared. Some of them died at the times. And actually, for me personally, when I was taken to another master, I was very much shocked with the situation that I was in, the journey that I saw. So I need to behave in another way to make sure that I'm not going to go through this, because that's what I witnessed with my friends. And actually, at the time, I was abused, given religion called Islam. I've tried to read the books, deny and give me a different names. My name actually during my slave time, my name was Yaqub. And they took away my name. I'm no longer a bold guy, as my love Fachan calling me now. I'm glad I got my identity back. And actually, very much at the times, I was given a job to do. I used to go and give the cattle and cows water when I became someone that can be trusted to go out by myself. And because I did that, because I need to save my life, not to be killed. So I got to do and give them do the job for them. At the time that I was able to become normal in the community, in our community, and actually was most desperate time that I have with them is that I didn't have food to eat. Sometimes I have no bed to eat, to sleep in. Sleep with some goats sometimes, some dogs. Dogs in America can give them bed. By dog in Africa, they have no place. And here in American dog have a bed, actually they can sleep. So it's so hard to the point I cannot find food. When I become so desperate, and the religion that was giving me, I did not read alphabet, because the more you read something is when you know the alphabet. When you give them a blanket, something is so white, like a paper, you don't see it because you cannot read it. But it was told you need to memorize it. It was hard as a young boy. And I need to actually, at the time I was desperate, I decided to escape. And I said, you know what, I would rather die running than dying sitting. And something told me that you need to run away from here. And actually, and thank God, there was a train coming from Western Darfur was going to Khartoum town. For some reason, I had never seen a train. Something is so long. I just make a noise. I don't know what them really. I didn't know back then what it meant. But for some reason, something told me that you need to sneak in and just hide. It was a business train. I said, you know what? I got to do this. I left the cars and everything and just ran away, ran off, took off, sneak in, and the train just took off right away. And that I realized was my. It was something that was able to rescue me and save me at the time. And then it took 3 days. And the journey, and also journey that I took as a young boy, 12 years old at the time, didn't have food to eat. I have no mom. My mom didn't know her life, whether it was die, killed. I have no clue about it, but I know my dad was shot in front of me. I know my uncle actually was shot by Arab man that actually was pretend to be a businessman and come and kill my uncle. At the time that when I got to Khartoum in 1888, I spent more than 2 years in the slavery. I was able to find some group from the Dinka, because very much, if you are African, if you live in Africa, you see people like me, you can identify the where they belong in Africa. So somebody say, you know what, this young boy may be from Dinka. And then somebody ran after me and they captured me and they took me to the Catholic charity, and they came in Khartoum, outside of the Khartoum at the time, in 1998. And then I was able to very much get to the school called Arabic school, was Catholic actually, very much taught me and gave me a little bit of food. And I was very much motivated by food, because being a young man actually living almost 2 years without getting enough food to eat at the times. And when I was actually put into the school that is food available for me, it was something so important for me actually very much at the times. So I was able to very much motivated by the food that in the camps. Go to school so I can get food, not to get education actually, because I didn't know what education really means. Why should it matter to me anyway? I just matter to me is food. So as long as I get food, I'm good to go. So I need to be there. So at the time when I got all this food and everything was so great, and actually again, something terrible happens. In 1999, actually it happened that Osama bin Laden actually was able to come to Khartoum and actually find Khartoum as a home for him. And very much it became a disaster for those who are Africans, who was called refugees, who have no place to sleep or to stay. We were told also to run away from, or to leave Khartoum, because Khartoum actually became, our Sudan have declared as Islamic and Arabic state, so Africans were not welcome to stay there. So we need to run again. Some of us went to East Africa from North Africa, and actually we have what they call Lost Boy of Sudan, run away to the East Africa when they finally came in Kakuma in Kenya. Someone like me was able to run away to go to Egypt. From Egypt I spent 1 year. That the journey was so tough in Egypt, the life is so hard in Egypt. In Egypt, actually, very much, people like me cannot live in Egypt, because actually we were identified in Egypt that they call us hunger. Hunger, it means that monkey. So being in Egypt, you cannot get out during the daytime to get water. You got to stay in your own, and then in darkness, they can go and grab the water and come and sit again. So you have no opportunity in Egypt. So I got to sleep there when I was offered. And I went to the United Nations and I told them about my situation. I lost my mom, I lost my dad. I'm here now and I tried to find a way out. I want to make my living. I don't know how to make it here in Egypt. United Nations gave me asylum and I came to Richmond, Virginia here in 1999. Was able to come here. And actually my journey, I was looking for food. When I went to interview, the first question I asked, I said, do you think there's going to be a food in America? I was asking for food first. They said, you're going to find so many food. I said, are you serious? I said, that's fine. I want just food. When I got here in America in 1999, and I was arrived, I asked for food for my sponsor. I said, I just need to eat. And actually they brought the food, McDonald's and hot dog and other things was so great. And actually from that time, I did not know how to speak English. And I just want to eat. And then sooner or later, I realized in order for me to find a way to order this food that I have learned is available in America, I need to go to school so I can ask food. What it mean? So I was able to learn how to call hot dog in English, so I can order in 7-Eleven. This thing actually motivated me to say, you know what, I can go to school, I can do this. And actually, at the time when I was able to step up a little bit, I realized, you know what, I can do better. I can order food, I can go to Walmart and buy something, and I can call it by myself. I can listen to Eve. Eve actually, there was a rapper here in Philadelphia, her name is Eve. She was so great at the time that I came to America. She was the most rapper that I had never seen there. Yeah, and I said, when I got there, I saw this black woman is so beautiful. And I said, I need to do something about this. I need to find a way so I can ask somebody to date this woman. You know, and I was able to get up, and I went on and on. And when I met a brother, Malapa Shandi, came to Virginia Commonwealth University when I was to get there, and I met him. My reason was when I was in Virginia Commonwealth, I was able to just find myself to fit in, where I can fit in, to be someone that can be called human being. I want to let you know that the problem of Sudan is a big issue, it's a big deal. Sudan actually has been in struggle. We've been in struggle since 1884, before even British went to Africa. We have been invaded by the Arabs. We have 2 wars, or maybe even 3, colonization. We have very much Arab colonization exists in Africa more than even British went to Africa. We have been enslaved by these folk for so many years. Even my generation was still enslaved until this day, and our people have been going through that. I want to let you know the problem of Sudan is a problem of Africa. For those who don't know, if we Africa, in African here in America, do not know this, that the problem of Sudan is not a part of our problems, I don't think that we in the Sudan will be free. And I was just let you know that I just want to share my testimony with you with time. It's not in my side. I want to let you know that the African American and the African American that I come to learn and I come to know, they are the most great people in the planet of African world. They are most intelligent people. They are the most accomplished, and they achieve so much in the world that they do not even see. They have done so much. We in the African continent are so proud of you, more than anyone in the world. And I tell you, this young man who experienced so much in my life, been in America, went through what I did, but I want to let you know, you African American. Whether you want to stay in America or you're going to visit Africa, it does not matter. Make sure that you are so important to me, to my community, to African world, and I want you to be proud for yourself.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for Dr. Malaf Santi, a great scholar, a reference in what is happening in Africa in general, in Sudan in particular. Thank you very much for the staff. Thank you for Dr. Emma and Anna and the students and the staff of this institute. We are honored to be here and speak to you about the tragedy and the plight in Sudan. As you know, Sudan is used to be the largest African country, which is now divided into 2, north and south, and the division is a political division. The people of Sudan still live the same way. That's how somebody from Blue Nile, from Nubia, from South Sudan, and Darfur get together to bring you a picture of what is happening in Sudan. I am from Darfur. Let me begin with recognizing 2 of my family members, Brother Ibrahim Adouma, born and raised in the city of Niala in Sudan, and actually my nephew Ahmed Bukhari. Ahmed Bukhari was a diplomatic staff member of the government of Sudan who resigned and joined you guys as a refugee in this country because he didn't like what is happening in Sudan. Coming back to my dear country, Sudan. Sudan went through a lot of transformation over the history, especially Darfur. Darfur is the far western part of Sudan. It's about 200,000 square miles. The population there about 10% of the Sudanese population. About 10 million people in Darfur. Geographically, it is a part of the Sahara in the north and Savannah in the south. What is happening in Darfur is part of what is happening in Sudan in general, as my fellow brothers spoke about, and what is happening in Sudan began to happen in early 1300s. In the 1300s, when the Arabs came into Sudan, divided Sudan into two equal parts. The part in the north, which became the Islamic part, and the part in the now south, along the 12-degree line, became the non-Muslim part, which is African religions and Christianity in the later years. What is happening in Sudan is basically a plan that was orchestrated by the Arab League in early 1960s. And the plan was to create an Arab Islamic country in North African region, particularly the sub-Saharan region. And that's a dream that the Arab League want to achieve. That's why people have been oppressed, suppressed into submission, and forced to leave their lands. And at the end, after 50 years of this maneuver, when this didn't work, they started killing people through other tools. And they use, like in my case in Darfur, the bombardment, aerial bombardment for people at night time in their villages, and just destroy the habitat. Those who remain alive will run, and they will run for their lives in different directions. Some will be very lucky to get to a safe haven, while the rest will be killed by people mounting horses and camels and shooting at them just to kill. And that's what happened in Darfur. In the census in 2001, there were 10 million people in Darfur. Today, we have about 3 million people in the internal refugee camps. We have 600,000 in Eastern Chad in the refugee camps, but the rest is missing. And we will not know the exact number until life comes back to normal and see who is remaining alive. That's the only way we can tell. The international community is saying about 480,000 people have been killed through the genocide of Darfur, but I believe the number will be bigger than 1 million at the end. Let us come to the Arab policy in Sudan. The very first organized slavery came to Sudan in the 1700s. Somebody by the name of Zubair Basha was in the Darfur area. He had a big compound where he brought in slaves and then traded them. He brought young people from the region, from Darfur, from South Sudan, from eastern part of Central African Republic, and at that, I mean, in the early 1800s, there were no young people, girls or boys, under the age of 30 left in the eastern part of Central African Republic or Darfur. They were all taken into slavery. And then the systematic oppressions, suppression of the people of the African descent in Sudan continues. Different governments came and gone in Sudan, but the policy remained because it is a state policy until today. We, the African descendants in Sudan, we have no place. You can be educated, you will have no job. If you don't have a job, you cannot remain in the country. The only chance you can survive is to join a military faction and try to make it through. And today, the future of the Darfuris and the marginalized people in general in Sudan say, take a gun, go join a faction, military faction, bring down the regime, and become the ruler of Sudan. And this, what we are trying very hard to accomplish, because without this, what the Arabs doing in Sudan will never stop, and without having people abroad like you guys who support us day in, day out, people like Dr. Al and Andrew, who stand with us at the United Nations, at the Congress, at the White House, asking the government to do something about what is happening in Sudan. It will never stop. The reason being, the Arab countries, the 25 Arab countries have oil, and they have a lot of money that they put aside for the purpose of expanding the Arab land, and secondly, for Islamizing the non-Arabs in Africa, because they cannot do this in any other place except Africa. And this process will never stop because they have the money. And today, they have a new ally, the Islamic Organization of the World is supporting them. These two organizations pushing every single country, including this country here, the US, to do much for the government of Sudan than any other person in Sudan. And the government of Sudan is part of the Islamic fundamentalist movement of the world. They're getting help from different Islamic countries and Arab countries. When I talk about this, it's not against Islam, but against the Arabs. Because the very people that the Arabs killed in Sudan today, these are Muslims. The difference between them and the Arabs is a race of Arabs. Then if this is a Muslim, and you are a Muslim, and you killing him for one reason, that reason is the race, nothing else. And they deny this. Today, they are saying they're expanding Islam. No, sir. You expanding Arabization of the non-Arabs in Africa. And Islam is just one thing. It's a tool to control those who become Muslims. And I'm saying this to our brothers and sisters in this country who became Muslims. Pay attention.
Very much what I always say that is that for our brothers in Africa who are in the diaspora, Arab are not Africans. Northern African Arab are not African. Africa was not Arab land, it's not Arab continent, it's Africa continent. If any man can claim Africa and make it Arab country, we should have an issue with that man. Because China for Chinese, and the Europe for Europe, and Middle East for Middle East, and Africa for Africans. And that should be clear. So we should not be confused here. And Nelson Mandela has a very interesting struggle as well in South Africa, when actually he defined the enemy and said that the apartheid are the problem of Africa. Because apartheid, they were minority white folks who went there and tried to dictate everything. But they were defined and put them in place. And actually was able to win in 1994 and become a president, and he passed it on. My question is, and my problem in Sudan is that we have 5% Arabs are killing 95% Africans for more than 300,000 years. This is not a long struggle, guys. Since the beginning of the Africa continent, Arab just took advantage. And they're using this brutality until today. And I think the Arab minority should be stopped in Africa, especially in Sudan. And let the majority of Africa, lead their own country. And so I want to thank you that, and I want to give this chance to our brother from ABA. Actually, our brother, he lost his land recently. He has been captured. He's a Dinka man like me, but have been took to North by force. So now he's no longer actually South Sudanese like me. He become Arabs, Dinka. So you have someone like Balunal here. I'm running away from him, and now I have what they call South Sudan, and I'm giving my people away to Arabs. Does that really mean a winning or I lost? I lost the war, right? Yeah. If I give this brother to the Arab, I lost the war. Because the Arab man will not give me his own kind. But I was giving away my own kind to them. So we need to divide this war. That's why I like Malaf Ashanti title called Arab Racism in toward African people in Sudan, in Africa. And that's the title we should use to go ahead to liberate ourselves. Not civil war. We were not fighting civil war in the first place. Civil war is between Africans themselves. Well, we are not fighting Africa, we are fighting Arab war and Islamic jihadists in the continent, in Africa. So we need to define the war again, and I think Malaf Ashanti have a title for that.